Welcome to a brand new episode and season of the Undrunken podcast. I'm your host, Courtney, and I'm so excited you're here. If you haven't already, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop once a month on the 7th and randomly when the mood strikes me. Here at the Undrunken podcast, we celebrate life without alcohol and challenge the idea that happiness is just one drink away. So if you're ready to question cultural norms and hear real stories from real people living life alcohol-free, then hit that subscribe button. You're in the right place. Today I'm joined by Dre, one of my lifelong best friends who has seen the good, the bad, and the ugly sides of my journey. We're talking about a few things like why I stepped away and took a break from the podcast, what's new for season 2 and what's ahead for Undrunken, and we share the new wheel of life that we'll use for our quickfire. So without further ado, let's jump in. How do we start?
Right. First thing that comes to my head is Vampire Diaries. I was born, I grew up. Did I say Vampire Diaries? I'm an Interview with a Vampire, but that's what he says when he's being interviewed by Christian Slater. Yeah. How should we start? I was born, I grew up, or should we start with my night in the darkness? I knew life in darkness. Okay. Well, I mean, do you want to introduce me? Do you want me to introduce you? Like,
well,
obviously, you're going to do the whole introduction of the episode, but like to get started, you just like, all right. So here we are.
I'm excited because whether we've actually like connected it or not, like you are a big part of the podcast starting. Like originally, I thought that this was going to be part of Little Big, and
right,
just kind of grew into its own thing. But while we're still working on Little Big, it's still influencing this, and maybe kind of vice versa too, right? So I'm excited, like that it's you that we're talking. You being Dre.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
So we did your first interview together when you were, how many episodes of the podcast had you already done when you and I did your interview?
Oh gosh, I wish I knew that, like off the top of my head. I think my interview is the 7th interview because I'm
All right, because I
obsessed.
know your 100 days was done and then we did your interview, right? I think that's how it went. So we went through, initially it was like 100 days kind of challenge for your health and just stop drinking. And that grew into still not drinking. Do you know how many days it's been now?
No, but it's been over, I mean, it'll be 2 years in a couple months.
That's crazy, right?
Okay, so as somebody who's known me for most of my life, I think you would agree that's really crazy for me.
Yeah.
I never expected to be a non-drinker, even with all the times like I stopped drinking for whatever amount of time. Never thought that I would be a non-drinker and certainly not a champion of it as a lifestyle. But that's kind of I guess really what I want to do with this next season of Undrunken is celebrate that, right? You know, celebrate there's this conception, right? Even people that I've interviewed have said like, "Oh, I'm boring." And there's this misconception that people who don't drink are boring. And I think the most interesting people I know don't drink. And I really just think we don't talk about it enough, right? We don't celebrate it enough. You know, I see reels and stuff, and it's, you know, there's this joke. It's like, you know, if you tell people you don't eat mayonnaise, they don't question it. But if you tell them you don't drink, they've got a million questions.
Right.
You know,
Do you find it still more difficult to kind of engage with people in social settings? Like, are your inhibitions higher without the alcohol? Is it easier to navigate social settings now, or still difficult? Like when it's mixed company of drinking and not drinking? And
that's kind of layered, I think, as you know, because COVID changed that a lot for me too. And between COVID and not drinking, social settings just aren't as fun, I guess. Like, it's not that I'm antisocial. Like, I don't want to sound like I don't socialize. A lot of what I do for work is peopling, and um, a lot of what I do to get filled back up is also peopling, right? Going to the gym, it's for me, but it's also I'm around people. But those are the people that fill me back up, right? Social settings where, especially if there's drinking and I am interacting, whether maybe it's work event or concert, right? Um, it's draining. Like it's just not my first choice. I guess it doesn't bother me that people drink. I just am not super fun of interacting with drunk people.
Right. And there's also a difference even in that, right? Somebody who might have a drink or two or somebody who's blitzed. And that can be just difficult to deal with. Yeah.
It's
And especially when there's a bunch of them. Like I
Yeah,
find that
well,
too,
it's
because
not
I'm
drunk,
not like
you notice
I
it
don't get
more.
drunk in public kind of person, you know? So
Here's the thing, like, you and I used to go to concerts, and we'd do our little drinks, right? We'd end up rolling on the ground laughing, and we had an amazing time. Nobody ever got hurt. We never got in any fights. Hunky dory. That wasn't always the case, right? Like, it's not always the case. And when you're not drinking and you're in those settings and you see that, you're like, wow, right? I mean, there was a concert I went to with a bunch of friends, and this drunk guy kept kicking one of our friends and then started like talking shit. And it's like the next thing you know, our whole evening has been like overtaken by dealing with this drunk guy. And it's just, I don't know. That kind of stuff just kind of wears me out, right? It it doesn't bother me to be around people drinking. You know that you drink, right? Like
yeah,
that hasn't, I don't feel like that's changed our friendship, right?
right,
The people who drink excessively, it definitely changed our friendship, right? Like, I'm not gonna just go hang out at the bar.
right.
It's not fun. You wanna go for a hike, or go do something. Okay. You and I, we have a lot of things in common that we do. Maybe while we're out at lunch, you'll have a cider. I don't even think I can remember the last time I saw you drunk.
Yeah. I don't think the last time I've been drunk is since the last time I was drunk with you. So
That's
oh,
fair.
actually, okay, if I'm being honest, I was drunk in Metallica. All right. Anyways.
So my last night of drinking was with you.
Hmm.
It was that cabaret show or whatever we did.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Um, and it's funny because I struggle to remember now, but I think I do remember trying to like kind of tie one on a little extra, right? At the time thinking like, oh, I'm not going to drink for 3 months. But I don't remember. Oh, we recorded that night, didn't we? Oh,
Yeah,
I
we
gotta go
did.
back and listen to that.
We did. That was like our first little big recording.
Oh, that is so funny. Yeah. Um, so yeah, it's definitely changed that and COVID. I think between the two things, COVID, right, which kind of forced all of us into solitary, right? Solitude. And then not drinking, which I don't think it forced me into solitude, but it definitely I enjoyed the solitude more. And between those two things, um, I do spend a lot more time alone.
What do you think is the single biggest change in your life that has happened since you quit drinking?
Single biggest thing that's changed, I think, is probably my love life. It's not that I've known that I want big love for a long time. You know that we've talked about it.
Yeah.
You know, I think I'm a romantic in the way I look at life in general, not just from a romance standpoint, right? Like I see the magic in things, and I do have this like really big idea of possibilities for love. Um Knowing what you want, though, and knowing that you're worthy of it, I think are two different things. And I don't think that I knew I was worthy of what I wanted for a long time. Um, I also realized that I can't really place any relationship or person that started that alcohol wasn't involved. And that was pretty humbling, right? Like, not that I didn't genuinely love these men or enjoy these relations or anything. There was something else at the wheel making the choice, right? An uninhibited version. If we go back to, I think it's um maybe it's Arabic or something, the original al-ko-hol, right? Like, that's when you drink, it allows other things in too, right? And so I think that even the good relationships, right? They started with alcohol. Like, that, what kind of choices are you making if they're all that?
Right.
Obviously not great ones because nothing's worked out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing that has changed.
So let's talk about why you stopped recording.
Hmm. Uh, First and foremost, it's a lot of work. And I'll talk about that a little bit more when I talk. We'll come back around to what I'm excited about season 2, because we're going to get a little sad. Um, it's a lot of work to put on a podcast. Um, Interviews and edits and production and posting and making sure it posts and shares and all that. And I was just kind of exhausted. There was a lot of things that had changed at the beginning of the year. Um, and a lot of work. I had a relationship end, but I think the biggest thing, so hard to not get emotional talking about. Somebody that I care about a lot, that has been in my life for a very long time, is drinking themselves to death. And it was just a little bit too close to home, I guess. I knew if I stayed on air, I would talk about it, and I just wasn't ready to. I still don't know that I am. Um, they're they've almost died numerous times trying to quit drinking, right? Because alcohol is so toxic that when you quit drinking, the withdrawals actually cause really, really scary health issues. Um, they have heart problems. And at one point, I thought, like, literally they were going to be around for maybe a week. And so I went and saw them. And it's interesting to see somebody who's in their 40s look 70, just aged, worn. Um, there's no question that they lied to me about their drinking. I mean, they were visually shaking there. They wouldn't let me in their house. Um, it kind of pissed me off and made me sad. Uh, but I think in my mind, that was goodbye, right? Like, you can't help somebody that wants that, that's choosing that. And I know they're still alive, but I just choose to not engage because it's just not fun to talk to somebody who's so far gone. Like, I think even if they were to quit drinking, I think they've got neurological issues. When somebody gets really drunk and they repeat themselves a lot,
Right.
that it's it's every conversation, right?
Right. You might even like see them the next time and then they drink again and tell you the same stuff from 2 weeks ago. And,
Yeah, and this person and I have we have a very long past, and we've been through a lot of things. And as beautiful as it is to receive an apology and hear somebody say that they're sorry for what they did to you, it gets old. Like I don't want to hear about it anymore. Like that's yours, right? Like
yeah. Well, and
uh
some of that is like, words without action
yeah.
or just words.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've really I've had to take some time to deal with that, and relationship not working out, right? Like that was you
So
know,
you had some growth to navigate of your own.
yeah. Like I'm still obviously like heartbroken over that too. Ugh,
Okay. So, um, you've
heartbreak, yeah.
already recorded some episodes, right?
Yes.
Of the second season. So how many episodes do you have recorded? How is it being back like in the saddle, so to speak?
Uh it's different, right? Because so right now obviously working on getting launched, but then also getting the nonprofit set up. So I have two friends who have both been on the podcast. I'm not going to share who they are yet, that have agreed to be part of the nonprofit. And, I think, I know I shared notes with you and I'm like totally blanking.
So
Uh,
we were talking about the nonprofit. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So I'm really excited for getting the nonprofit set up. I really, really want to focus on celebrating like this as a lifestyle. Um, I want to get a little weird and dive into, exploring like the culture and society and why alcohol is so prevalent. I'd love to work with more influencers. Maybe there might even be a celebrity who is yeah. So that's some of the stuff that I'm most excited about. Complete change in format too. So episodes will only be once a month instead of every week, which takes a lot of pressure off. And then it also, I'm hoping, will encourage people to subscribe because then I'll release episodes kind of randomly, but you'll only know about them, right, if you check back that once a month, or if you're subscribed, then it will send you, um, a little ping or whatever it does.
Notification or yeah.
Yeah. And that was just kind of a fun idea, not even mine. I can't take credit for it. Um, so yeah, I think it'll be good. I really do. And then of course, the work we've been doing together, and the new Wheel of Life. Um, that's gonna be, I think, really cool.
All right. How's that process been going for you at the end of this year?
Different,
Different.
very different. At the end of last year, um, there was so much that I had unpacked. I mean, that was the first year not drinking, right? And so there's just a lot that I was living with, and then discovering ayahuasca was
Right.
pretty fucking life changing. Um, Whereas now I just have such different view on who I am, what I want, right? And I love, I want to share. Like, let's talk about our new wheel of life because we've been doing this for a lot of years. And, the goal with Little Big, right, is to bring this work to more people in a way that, you know, I guess makes more sense outside of just doing it for work or what you've taught me. Uh, And I incorporated that in doing the quick fire in the interviews. How
Right.
has being undrunken affected whatever? And I really think that the new wheel, hold on, I'm going to pull it up over here.
Okay.
Um, I like the words better. I like, first of all, so now it's an acronym, right? Choices,
Right.
like
How
it
have your
just,
choices affected your life, right? Just so great, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think that it's such a cool acronym that we were able to come up with. And then I like the new words. So, do you want to share them or do you want me to? I'll share them.
Sure, I can share them. Let's kind of quick fire with you and the new wheel. So the first one is companionship, right? How has being undrunken affected your companionship?
Sorry, I had circled, but yes, I like we talked about a little earlier. I think it's affected it completely. Um, it's different, right? Like well, I guess too. I don't feel like I've moved on, right, from my last heartbreak. Um, I thought I thought not drinking broke me, and what I mean by that is I lost all interest in sex completely, and that was weird because I like sex. I think
Mm.
everybody kind of thought it was weird. Um, and so I kind of thought like that part was broken and it was like kind of a trade-off and um but it's not, the last time um I was with somebody wasn't sex, it was just a kiss and those feelings were all there, and yeah. So I know I'm not broken. I think maybe I just takes a lot for me to even want to do that with someone, I think. I don't know. I haven't done it in over a year, so I'll get back to you on that one.
All right, all right. So H in that choices, it's home. So how's it affect your home and like your environment that you're in, your relationships of origin? Uh,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, home replaced family, right?
right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, it's kind of a weird one because I think it's allowed me to do a few things and have confidence where, there's a lot of people in my family that I don't talk to. Um, they're just not good people. And there's a lot more, I guess, strength or boundary that I'm able to hold with that. Um, and then on the flip side, right, like I had such a beautiful exchange of text messages with one of my brothers. I was reading a book, like I'll share it. I think I shared it with you. It's called Worthy by Jamie Kern Lima. Reads a little bit like a self-help seminar, but one of the parts they were talking about is family and who's influenced you and who do you admire. And I realized like I've never told this brother that, and so I sent him a text and said that, like, and he replied back and was just like he was endeared and he said something nice and it was just such a cool moment. um I don't think I would have done that a couple of years ago. um and then some of my extended family or local family, I guess, I never really felt like I belonged, even though they're very welcoming. I had nothing to do with them and 100% to do with just, um, I think how they were presented to me growing up through other family members. And so I'm learning to reprogram that, um, and not have like, it's almost like this shame. It's we I'm figuring it out. We've talked about it, right? Like I don't really understand it. Like it's nothing that they've done. Like I said, they're very welcoming and loving, and it's definitely something for me to unpack. Um, yeah. And I love where I live. Home wise, physically, I have never been happy.
Probably the happiest you've been in several years, from my perspective. This term is of where you're living, where you rest your head at night. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
So CHO, is that occupation?
Yes, which
Got it.
replaced work. That's kind of
Hmm.
um I guess I can actually announce this since this won't be like I just accepted or I am starting a new position. So I'm going to be the program manager for Compass Outdoor Adventures. If you had told me 2 years ago that I would be leaving corporate, um, I would have no way. And then, I went full time into the promo business and then on as a side gig started doing the guide work with Compass and I love it. I love the team. I love the work that we're doing, and really excited to really build it up. I mean, it just taps into all my strengths and everything that I love to do, and uh, it's very peopling, so it's draining.
I
But
bet you really have been able to, take this dive into what you said you've always wanted to do. So that's really exciting to have that courage, to
well, it
to
was
make the
not
jump.
easy. I will say, like this last, it it's a leap of faith, right? And I have to trust. I have to have trust, right, in my leaders, and that's always hard for me, right?
Yeah.
Tend to be pretty guarded in general, and trust very. It's very important to me, I guess.
Yeah. Help me out here. What's I? I don't have my
Identity,
computer
which
for.
replaces
Oh yeah. We're
yeah,
replacing spirituality with that. Self, right? Self.
identity
Self.
replaces self. Yeah,
Self. Yeah.
I did make notes about this one because, like, I feel like there's so much that's changed by not drinking has allowed me to be present in my body and connect like truly. And I think before I quit drinking, I thought that was kind of whatever, I'm connected, right? And there's a different way of breathing I have now. Um, Definitely way more fond of solitude, I think, than I've ever been. I think it was scary um, for both you and I when I would be alone and drinking.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think I handled being alone well. I don't know. I like definitely my scariest drinking was when I was alone.
Yeah.
I don't even like admitting that, to be honest.
And do you still do you experience that similar darkness still at times when you're alone?
Um, well, it's where we're gonna get a little bit controversial depending on who the fuck is listening, but I don't care. I've been through a lot of shit in life, and I think statistically, I shouldn't be where I'm at. I should be all kinds of fucked up. And so it's hard to not go dark. Um, for me, I smoke pot. And honestly, I have tried not smoking pot for extended periods of time. And I just, it is like the best antidepressant to me. It does not do to me what it does to most people. I do not
Right.
get couch locked. I do not get, "Ugh." um, and maybe it releases serotonin. I have tried antidepressants. I do all the fucking things, and you know this probably better than
Mhm.
anyone. But really, if anyone knows me, they know like I'm very active. I do yoga, meditation, journaling, all the things. Therapy for 30 years. Smoking pot just it works.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's definitely can be medicinal, and it may be as controversial, but it can't be denied that it has medicinal person. purposes for some people. And I definitely think that you're one of those people. Yeah.
It's it allows me to explore the darkness without fear. And I think that's the difference since giving up alcohol is I'm not scared of the darkness anymore. And maybe a lot of that was going to Peru. I mean, you do that many ayahuasca experiences, that place it was not pretty and colors and all of that. It was like fucking spiritual surgery. I don't know how else to describe it. It was dark. And now, at least, I smoke pot every day. Um, I can explore that darkness and it's not scary. It's like it's part of me, right? But it doesn't bring me down. And I know you've seen that. Like, and that's not something that a lot of people know about me. But I like who I am. And when I don't smoke pot, I feel heavy and nothing else has worked. Plant medicine, antidepressants. Like, I don't think I'm going to get healed and all of a sudden just that's going to change. I think I'm doing pretty fucking good on this journey. And I don't know. I think I sound a little defensive. And I think that's because recently I was with a group of people who are very anti-cannabis. And it's really hard for me in general to feel like I need something. Um, this that again, something you and I have explored a lot over the years. And it took me a long time to get to the point where I don't judge myself for smoking pot even. I mean, this is nothing that you don't know. And
Right.
I feel like you could elaborate on this even. It's
Well, that's, my own experience too. I mean, I smoke marijuana every day too. And the way that I've always kind of explained it is that my head is a very busy, loud place, and marijuana just quiets that down. And it's the only thing that I found, and I am on antidepressant, and still, um, it's not enough to quiet my head and help me just focus. So I can absolutely relate to like that needing something and nothing else working. That marijuana is in that way for me a medicine, and I'm very comfortable defending it and like speaking out about it because I think that there is such a taboo around it still, even with it being legalized. And it doesn't work the same on everybody. So it's not the skeevy stoner you knew in high school. You know, I mean, maybe it is, but there's other people too.
I do worry about it, right? I worry about like the judgment, I think, because well, the same reason anytime we look outside in the world and see something we don't like, it's often internal, right? Like I judge myself way harshly more than
Right.
anyone else could. Um, and yeah. And I guess here's the thing. If you didn't know, you wouldn't know, right? Like I don't show up to work fucking reeking of marijuana, right? Like I know
Or like stuck on stupid, or right. That's one of the things that my family members have commented about me is like, I'm a very functional pothead, is what they say, because I don't sit on my couch. I don't, I get, if anything, like more creative, motivated to go do stuff, like, energy from it. So it works differently on different brains. And
right.
I would say that, for myself, and I know for you too, that it's not that kind of pot. And people come with preconceived notions about what it means. And a lot of that is like the media and, your high school experience of marijuana. All right. So we got through identity. What's the next one?
Uh
The
circle.
second. That's right. Your circle, your vibe, your tribe, right? Who you're surrounding yourself
I
with.
think in our wheel, it's actually circle first and then companionship,
Companionship,
just
which
because
makes
it's a
sense
little
because companionship is deep.
we layered it, right?
Hmm.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, we did because
But
companionship is
circle,
difficult to talk about, so we wanted to ease on into that one, so it wouldn't be first. But we did it backwards for you. You're special.
that's all right.
So
Dive
your
right
circle,
in.
yeah, your circle. How has your circle changed from being undrunken?
Oh, you know, I know we've talked about this. So, when we're doing the wheel and we're taking the inventory and we're setting our direction, we've always talked about that 10 as being like that like destination, never really like an arrival point, I guess. And I really struggled, but man, it's a 10. Like I have such an intentional circle of friends and I love the people that I spend time with. And it's it's very, very, very fulfilling for me. Um, I think, yeah, I don't know. I want to elaborate, but it's just I feel like I'm boasting, right? Like I got the best friends ever, but I really do have the best fucking friends ever. Like I just they're so amazing and um it's so intentional though, right? Like it's choosing to spend time with these people. And a lot of it is because of proximity. And we've talked about that, right? Like I am definitely a proximity person, right? Like it's hard for me to maintain relationships over distances because I don't really like talking on the phone, but like I want to, you know, but if you're like right there, especially like if I work near you, it just kind of anyway. So there's a
But
lot
you
of it.
also were able to, like, again, make your home life work for you in this area too. Like you're able to live around where you love working around people who love doing what you love to do. So that's
I think
really,
that's such a big part of it, right?
yeah,
You nailed it. Home. Like I live where I love. I can go for a hike, go for a bike ride, whatever, just anytime. Um, and then I'm working, doing what I love. Like I work with friends, right? Like, and a lot of my job is connecting with other people, and a lot of those people are my friends. And then I go to a gym, and guess what? There's friends there. And, so it's like everything that I'm choosing to do, there's people there. And it's as much as I love like my alone time and my solitude, which I really do cherish more now than I ever have. I love that there's that injected into so much of my life.
right.
Yeah, I could gush more. I love
I
you. You're the
love
bestest.
you too.
Yeah. Well,
uh,
I really do wholeheartedly mean that because like you and I have been together for so long and there's a handful of you that have been around for a long, long, long time that really always prevented friendship. In my banks of life, like I don't feel like that has ever been something like I that suffered, right? Like I just am so grateful, that I've had the you and D and like forever. Like I don't know what I would do without you. uh,
yeah,
and so to have it, layers now, I don't know that I would be as intentional with my friends now if you and I hadn't been doing all of this work together all these years. Like you and I have adjusted our friends together too. Like
right,
just because of who we are and who we've grown into, and that's that layer of the circle that I don't know that a lot of people are blessed with. Like I hope everybody is, right? But it's like being married to somebody for 20 years, essentially.
yeah,
Like
hmm
I've seen so many different phases of you, you've seen so many different phases of me, and there's just so much beauty in that. Um, Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that there is a part of my life I'm more grateful for than my circle.
that's fantastic. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely seen that growth in your life too. Like partially just from being where you want to be, but from not drinking, I think that I see like the enrichment of the friends that you are around, and kind of the things that you guys do together. Like you said, it's always like some fun activity. It's not around drinking or anything like that. And I know that you've grown some deeper friendships during the time you haven't been drinking, whereas before maybe we're just like the same.
Yeah, I think, this kind of goes back a little bit, right? But I have been very guarded for a lot of my life. I had to be, right? Like that was survival, right? And so it takes a lot for me to let people in, right? Like I remember sitting in the car with you and you turning to me and just being like, God damn it, let me in. And we'd been friends for like 8 years and I thought that I had, but I was still, like keeping you at a distance. And for sure, just growing up, but like hyper transformative since I quit drinking. The
Yeah.
ability to be vulnerable. Um, not perfect. On my moments, but I'm a fucking weirdo, and all my friends are fucking weirdos, so it's pretty cool.
Forgive me, I had it in front of me, now I don't, so I don't remember them now. So next E is
A state, which
oh, that's right.
replaces money.
Right. Your
Uh,
money, your financial position in life, your plans moving forward. How has that changed since you quit drinking?
I have a lot
Since you've
more
been in it?
patience. Um, money is something that I struggle with. I think there's what I would call like an inherited trauma around money. That I'm just kind of starting to explore, right? Like we inherit traits from our family, both learned and I think just kind of given. Uh, I will be making less money, but have a better life. I don't own anything. I don't own my car yet. I don't own my house. Uh, but I'm going to, right? And you and I talk about this. Like you're doing amazing things with that bank of your life, and it's very inspiring. And like I kind of be like, I want to get up in on that train, and like,
Right.
but I have patience now. I know it's going to take some time, right? I made choices again. I think probably some of them based in alcohol that have left me where I'm at from an estate standpoint. Um, but I'm very happy and like I'm not worried about it, I guess. That's the difference, right? It's like um when I say I have patience, like I know it's all gonna work out. Like I'm gonna have all I want and more. Um and I think a lot of that is following my heart more, right? Like fuck, I made really good money in corporate, really good money. I was so
Yeah.
miserable.
Too. I think that, one of the things that's really inspiring about your situation and your story is that you're making money doing what you love. And that comes with a whole different type of success and freedom than, I might have this high paying job, but it's a grind every day and I hate going there. And, you've got the sky's the limit for you and opportunities will unfold. But that shift, I'm sure, feels scary. And those are things I think I've seen too, is just like, you're so much braver.
Oh,
Like your willingness to take risks and dive in is like you're so much braver than you were before.
oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Ah.
And then the last bank is spirituality. So, how do you think that has changed or been affected by being undrunken?
Don't. I love learning about theology and even lore. I love talking with you about shit that just is like, what? Like we weren't allowed to talk about this growing up.
Right.
Uh, I would say like I think not drinking actually has me more curious about it.
Awesome. So are there any like last takeaways, drops of gold nuggets that you want to share before we wrap up your interview?
Ah, it was hard. I think, when we started, you said, "Oh, you're a natural." I think sometimes maybe I make it look easy, but this isn't easy. It's not easy to get on here. It's not easy to be recorded. It's not easy to listen to it and edit it. Um, I have to pretend like I'm listening to somebody else when it is me. It's really not easy to hear your own story. So anyone who's ever been on and anyone who's thinking about being on, like that right in and of itself is like, that's hard. So, you know,
Well, I'm looking forward to the next one. I'm sure there'll be another interview in your future to
yes.
see your progress and how this continues to unfold for you.
Well, thank you for
Yeah,
coming along with me.
always.
And,
I will always be there.
personally, thank you for always being like the best mirror for me. Like I cherish that. Like I'm very grateful for it. And
Excuse
for
me.
you to
I'm
come
sorry.
on here and hold the space with me, I appreciate it so much.
Thanks for joining me today. If you liked this episode, please share it, and you can tag me on Instagram at Undrunken Podcast. If you or someone you know has a story to share or you're interested to know more, please reach out to me. I leave you with the wish that you make good choices and take care of yourself. I love that you joined me today, and I hope you have an amazing day.